Hello, Gary. Jamin Shively here. I'm a big fan of yours and of your book, Grateful American, which I read cover to cover. I'm also a big fan of Barbara Titus and all that you all do at the Gary Sinise Foundation. The first, so Operation Welcome Home consists fundamentally of two things. The first is something that is completely missing, which is a formal rite of passage for our active duty military to make the transition to becoming veterans and re-entering civilian life. And we propose that this rite of passage be centered around a welcome home box, which we have been pioneering here in the state of Washington starting in 2010. First giving these to veterans at halftime at minor league ball games, and first giving them to Vietnam veterans, who then became the ones to gift the boxes to younger veterans returning from Iraq and Afghanistan. And these senior veterans are also guardian angels to these younger veterans who can call on their guardian angels at any time for any support they may need. Now, over time, we have expanded the size and scope of these welcome home boxes to include specialty foods from all 50 states, with special labels, which say, for example, like you can see up in the one on the upper left there, welcome home veteran, Illinois says thanks. The jar of Adams peanut butter in there. See, each one has the state flag. Welcome home veteran, Ohio says thanks. Times all 50 states, all 100% donated by grateful American manufacturers who are rewarded by consumers for their generosity to veterans. Plus specialty comfort wear such as wool blankets, scarves, gloves, caps, etc., as you can see up above there. And all of this will soon be packed. We've been doing cardboard boxes so far, but this will soon be packed in a beautiful, sustainable American hardwood footlocker form large box or trunk, of which this image is simply a concept, and including a welcome home binder full of programs and resources for veterans, soon to be in sustainable American hardwood binders, such as this one generously developed by Barbara, and including a military-grade Toughbook computer with lifetime satellite internet and solar panel included, so that the veteran can be powered up and connected to the veteran Zoomosphere, which we will discuss in a moment, at any time of the day or night and from any location anywhere around the world. And we will include other goodies such as a cooler full of refrigerated foods and beverages. And in addition to these gifts, which constitute a wonderful and hugely important part of the rite of passage, the ceremony itself is also a significant part of the rite of passage. And there are many different details, important details to consider. Where it takes place, who is there? Is it a public event, like at a major or minor sporting event? And what is said at the ceremony? Now, please consider that the various options around each of these variables constitute whole topics in their own right, which we lack the time to delve into fully in this introductory video. But suffice it to say that the welcome home ceremony, like the welcome home box and all its contents, must be meticulously designed. Now, beyond this rite of passage, the second thing that Operation Welcome Home focuses on is a quantum leap forward for the community of American veterans, which we propose to be centered around what we are calling the veteran Zoomosphere. Basically Zoom, but entirely for veterans and to a lesser degree certified supporters of veterans, whether paid or volunteers. And the spirit of the veteran Zoomosphere is best captured in this photo, which I absolutely love. This photo is an inspiration for what we are co-creating the veteran Zoomosphere to become. And at its heart, the veteran Zoomosphere is a safe space where veterans can connect and share in a boundless number of ways across a boundless number of topics. Now, at the top of the list will be healing and support. And a very close second will be connection, including reconnection with comrades, shipmates, company mates from months, years, or even decades past, and engage in countless kinds of activities for sharing, for healing, or for simply connecting and being together, being that community of American veterans that all veterans yearn to be a part of, even if they do not consciously articulate that yearning, even to themselves. Now, in addition to reconnecting with shipmates, company mates, and other comrades from the past, the Veterans Zoomosphere is a space to make new friends and develop new possibilities for their lives, personally, professionally, socially, and for their families and communities they belong to. Both in-person communities, which can coordinate their myriad activities through the Veterans Zoomosphere, and now countless virtual communities through the Veterans Zoomosphere, where there will be literally tens of thousands of Zoom rooms, which will meet on a regular basis on all topics under the sun, whatever topics and purposes or missions our veterans wish to create. Now, with 20 million American veterans invited to and supported within the Veterans Zoomosphere, we envision a sort of Cambrian explosion in both the numbers of veterans joining in and the variety and scope of the gatherings they will pioneer within the Veterans Zoomosphere, which does not yet exist, mind you. We're hard at work envisioning and designing it, though we can see in the following slides
Hey, can you pause?
Yeah.
Is there any noise in the background? I've got these guys.
And these are images that we got from the internet, which just provide kind of an early glimpse of what is possible and what our veterans and their supporters, including ourselves, will come up with for the Veterans Zoomosphere. So very notably, many veterans will seek and find healing through support groups and group therapy. They will find joy, connection, and healing through storytelling, creative writing, as well as networking, socializing, and getting support in specific areas, and creating and leading and participating in any kinds of meetings or gatherings of any nature that the veterans choose. And these slides represent, as I mentioned, but a glimpse of a much larger number of categories of gatherings, categories of meetings, categories of activities, all of which at their core consist of veterans and their supporters coming together for one or more purposes. And overlaid on top of these various categories of coming together are an unbounded number of topics, missions, goals, intentions. And with the sharing of videos and presentations like we're doing right here, whiteboards, music, visual art, myriad forms of art, it is a fair statement to say that the sky is the limit as to what veterans and their supporters can accomplish together within the broad and vast reaches of the Veterans Zoomosphere that we are co-creating. So we are talking about putting together the greatest and richest space for support, for reconnection, reunion, and for making new connections and new possibilities for the individual, for the group, and community among 20 million of the most special people on Earth, American veterans. And this picture really says it all. I mean, look at the faces in this picture. They tell a story. What our veterans have been yearning for without necessarily knowing it is for connection, deep, meaningful, unbounded connection with fellow veterans. And the Veterans Zoomosphere, combined with the appropriate hardware, the Tough Book, the satellite, internet, solar panel, will make this boundlessly possible with myriad spaces held open 24/7 by veteran volunteers who love to hold space for their fellow veterans and who love to welcome them, get to know them, share stories with them, and help them get connected to whatever resources and opportunities the veteran may need. And Gary, I know you have met countless folks of this nature in your visits to the VA hospitals, military bases, and hospitals. These veterans and active duty who love to welcome you and share stories and help orient you for whatever you're looking for. And, I'm here. Hey, come back anytime. Very happy to know you and help in any way I can. So, for example, there will be 24/7 Zoom rooms for each branch of the military, a Zoom room that will never close, ever, giving a new meaning to Semper Fi within the veteran Zoomosphere, a sort of virtual, welcome and information center for each branch where volunteers will be able to orient first-time visitors and show them how they can search and browse through, all those meetings that are currently in progress that they can jump into right now. And the calendar of scheduled events and reunions and gatherings of all kinds. And the volunteers will show interested veterans how they can create their own meetings, which they can lead and invite any and all other veterans to join. So, if at any given moment of the day or night, say even 1% of veterans are in the veteran Zoomosphere, that's 200,000 veterans in the veteran Zoomosphere at the same time. And let's say there's an average of 10 or 20 veterans per Zoom room. That means there will be 10,000 to 20,000 Zoom rooms live happening right now, with the vast majority of those rooms being open to any veteran to join. So no veteran anywhere under any life circumstances will ever have to be alone again. To the contrary, they will have an unbounded number of options and choices, and they will never be without the loving, supporting, caring company of fellow veterans who have been there, who have been through similar life circumstances, and are now extending a welcoming and caring arm and saying, we're here for you, brother. We're here to talk, pray, meditate, share stories, write, whatever you need. All this begs the question, why hasn't someone put this together for our veterans already? The veteran Zoomosphere. Now, combine these two things, the rite of passage centered around the welcome home box and ceremony, and the quantum leap upgrade for the community of American veterans centered around the veteran Zoomosphere. And that is the heart of Operation Welcome Home, a rite of passage for our veterans into a vastly upgraded and connected, supported, and supportive community of American veterans. Now, finally, let's talk about planning for a national public relaunch of Operation Welcome Home. What we are proposing is that we start with a press conference led by you, Gary, and Barbara, and the President of the United States, the First Lady, the head of the VA, and regardless of who is president at the time, this is not at all about politics. This is all about supporting our veterans, period. Head of the VA, other heroes and dignitaries. And I'm using, again, this image, which is my favorite picture of all time, as a stand-in for the national press conference, where there will be mostly veterans. And having coordinated in advance with at least 50 specialty food manufacturers, minimum one from each state, plus a dozen other manufacturers, for the wood products and the textiles, et cetera, and a dozen or so tech companies, we will unveil the upgraded Welcome Home Box, the Tough Book and related resources, and the Veteran Zoomosphere, which all veterans will be able to access immediately with support from the VA and from, public libraries, et cetera, while we get the 20 million Tough Books into the hands of 20 million veterans. And at the national press conference, we will announce that all 20 million American veterans will be receiving their Welcome Home Box, cooler, Tough Book, et cetera, over the next 18 months. This will be the greatest American feel-good story since Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon. And support will roll in from across America. Stories will roll in about, grateful manufacturers contributing generously to the Welcome Home Box, grateful tech companies adding special products and services for example, disabled veterans. And then amazing stories of reconnection among veterans and their families and their communities, which will be happening all over the veterans Zoomosphere. These are people who fell in love during World War II, and 70 years later, they reconnected. And then several weeks after this first national press conference, we proposed that we plan for a nationwide relaunch of Operation Welcome Home that will include the delivery of, say, 1,000 Welcome Home boxes on day one, ideally in northern Tennessee. And the scenario we propose is that we get 100 Welcome Home vans donated by one or more American manufacturers. And riding in each van would be a representative or volunteer from the Gary Sinise Foundation, a guardian angel veteran, perhaps provided by the VA, and a celebrity. And Gary, you would handpick the 100 celebrities, since you know which have been most supportive of our veterans. And then after day two, the next day, which we're calling day two, we host a giant welcome home ball, perhaps in Nashville, where all supporters of veterans from all across the country are invited to come to celebrate, to network, and co-create the future of Operation Welcome Home. Our proposal to you, Gary, is that if you agree with us that this is a good fit, that you and the Gary Sinise Foundation take ownership of Operation Welcome Home, and that with Barbara's outstanding leadership on all things operational, that Jamie, Rod Whitmire, and I report to Barbara as volunteers among thousands of other grateful Americans across the country, and we simply make it happen with God's help. Thank you so much for your kind consideration, and please do not hesitate to reach out with any questions or requests. Jamie, anything to add? All right.